We have received some great questions that I think connect to the idea of participation, which, as our students know, is a strong theme in Catholic social teaching. In Catholic thought, development requires participation. Development is never something done to people or for people, but it is a process of engaging in participation. So Sister Rosemary has asked some great questions, I think inspired by Maureen's presentation about FGM. So we can hear from Maureen, but I think also Sister Lucy Kimaro and Sister Asteria, you have some wisdom to share here too. Sister Rosemary asks, FGM remains a touchy issue for females in Kenya. Have you any voices of the girls themselves and the current approaches? How are the women in these cultures practicing FGM being involved in creating the alternatives? So with these challenging cultural practices such as FGM or child marriage, please share what you've learned about how to engage the participants. How do you engage the families, the women, the girls, to ensure that their voices and experiences are central to any program? Perhaps first we can hear from Maureen.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I'll start by saying that the aim of the project that I've been presenting is to create awareness with a focus on the understanding of FGM. So this becomes the basis of our project as it seeks to integrate the good cultural practices. So if I can answer Rosemary, I would say we don't do away with the cultural practices that the community practices. What we do, we try to integrate the good cultural practices with the Christian cultural values, which is for the welfare of the girl child and the community. And therefore we have created something we call an alternative to FGM. So we have something that we call the Christian rite of passage, commonly known as CROP, which is a modern way of dealing with some of the aspects of the traditional rituals that are accompanied by FGM. We have the voice of the girls as they are equipped with intensive experience and education. As I had mentioned, we have some workshops that we organize where they share their testimonies, and they're also coupled with knowledge and skills on how to gracefully transit from childhood to adulthood, that they don't have to pass through the FGM, because most of the time it's a way of transiting from childhood to adulthood. So we give them an alternative rite of passage. I hope I've answered the question. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to share some thoughts about encouraging the participation, engagement, and voice of the communities, not simply the youth, but also their families and cultures?
Okay, may I say something, Sarah? Thank you very much, Sister Maureen, for your response. For us, our sisters are working so hard to bring awareness not only to the girls, but also to the parents. And this is done through workshops, but also sometimes it is also done through invitation of these parents to activities that take place in our congregation, where sometimes you find some speakers talking about gender equity, and also, like about what they want. And I find this very, very important. They do something that is not, if they go back, they do things differently. And it's also about the voice of men. Our sisters are doing it a lot. And this is early marriages. And this has helped many families, many families. And sometimes also we have some friends from outside the country who visit, who pay us a visit, and then we actually we invite them to visit this family. This has brought a lot of changes, and we believe that are going to happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Also,
Yes.
I may add something also, as Sister Lucy has shared. Yes, our sisters are working with women in the community, and they also employ, when, like, for example, they get like funds for training, they also get the same women from the same village to go to call their fellow women, especially even those women who have undergone FGM and early marriages, and they give their stories about how difficultly the situation, how let me say, how difficult, how severe the problem is. Like, what are the effects of a woman who have undergone female genital mutilation, especially during birth, when they are giving birth, or when they are, especially every time that they give birth, the scar is recurring and it is so painful. And so when they share these stories to the women, they understand more. And also children, these girls, when they go home during their vacation, when they come back to the center, they share different stories of their experience of the time that they went home. And this is the time the leaders at the center will realize what happened to some girls, why they did not come to school. And some will also share how they struggled to manage, to escape the fate of their parents, especially their fathers forcing them to marry, and how their mothers strived to protect them. Also, the congregation has managed to employ one Maasai girl, and they're working with her. She's a graduate, and she's working as a social worker together with the sisters. And this girl is not a girl anymore. Is kind of young woman. Is really helping women to understand why education is very important. Is helping young girls, and some of these girls, they say, oh, we want to be like this, we want to be like that, and so they go to her, especially because she's also sharing she talks to them in the same language, and they understand. When someone is talking to you through your language, you understand more, and they said, oh, so I can also speak English one day despite of my culture, and so I can be relieved from this kind of culture. But also they share their beautiful culture, because like this, although we call them Maasai, they have beautiful culture that is very inspiration, because like when they hold their meetings are very strong. They have a village man who ensures that everybody comes to the meeting, and when one turns out not to come in the meeting, these village men are the ones to punish him. So they have good cultures and they respect it.
Thank you very much for your responses. We have another great question here. This is from another of our students, Sister Jane Francis. She is asking a question about adults. She says, from the definition of trauma and the circumstances that lead to trauma, I tend to think that most African adults are traumatized. Most of our cultures, though well-meaning, leave wounds or scars on those who undergo some processes. I guess creating awareness can help, but how else can we reach this adult? Because they tend to perpetuate what they went through. So can any of you share ways, and I hope Sister Lucy Gituma can contribute, because I know in her partnership with St. Vincent's, she has tried to support and train the staff so that if the staff have themselves experienced trauma and violence, they learn skills not to perpetuate that violence. So Sister Lucy, if you're here, you can contribute, or anyone else can share. What are ways that your ministries are supporting adults so that they can be loving towards young people, even if they themselves have experienced challenges?
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I'm in the background. I think something is happening with the camera that
we can hear you.
Yes, yeah. Also working with the, as we are working with the children, the principal, Sister Maria Goretti, we met and talked and said, okay, sometimes we pay attention to the children, and also somehow we may overlook also those who are taking care of those who have experienced any kind of adversity, those who have experienced trauma. And so when we ask the child youth care workers what they would like us to do for them, they said that they would like to get some help. They experience a lot of stress from home, and when they come to work, they also with those problems they have experienced from home, from families, they also come with this stress at work. They've also experienced economic problems. They are experiencing this of pandemic and all this. So all this they contribute, and also they were in this process consultation. They express a need that they are given some workshops that will help them to address their well-being as well. And where we have moved with them up to this moment with preparation, they seem to be very receptive, and they believe that this will be able to help them also. As they heal themselves, they are also able to heal the children, as well as also heal of those who come in contact with them. So I'll be able to give feedback as we continue with the program, which is starting this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Lucy. Would anyone else like to share ideas for supporting adults who are working with youth? Or we can proceed to a new question. We have many. Okay, here is a question. This is open to any of the presenters. This is from Dr. Alphonse Amolo. He has really put a challenging question before us. How do you tackle or plan to tackle the sociocultural structures that perpetuate the social conditions being addressed by the partner ministries in the communities you work? So we know that these social conditions are fueled by structures. There are structural challenges and systemic challenges. What ideas do you have for structural change, for broader change?
What I would like to share on a cemetery, for our cemetery, maybe I would like to share something on lobbying and also enabling full participation. For example, sometimes the youth or other people that we serve, when you are lobbying for them and they don't have a voice, you have not listened to them, they kind of become like they don't have a voice. So it is good they just become beneficiaries and like they are passive recipient. And this full participation for them to listen to their voice, to know, go to the root cause, to understand the social cultural context of why is this happening. And once you understand people, to know what is going on in their life, either it is in the cycle of violence, it is in the cycle that bring violence, that bring trauma, to be with them, to listen to them, and then understand them, understand their social cultural context, and then their voice become their voice. Now you move together to the next level of the people within, those in the power. For example, you'll find there are some people in the authority where they can help you to move from one place to the other. I would like to say that once you incorporate many people in participation, it helps that it doesn't come, it's your voice, but their voice, it's heard. Their cry is heard and they are able to move with you and to facilitate. And when their voice is heard, they continue moving to fight freedom when you are with them. I would encourage more on participation for all, full participation for all, not on one side, but full participation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister. Your response also brought to mind the Catholic social teaching theme of solidarity. I think that's what you are describing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have some more rich questions here. Dr. Tom Ryan, I think, has reminded us that this was a theological project. He was inspired by Sister Lucy quoting the Gospel of St. Luke about new vision. So he would like to ask you all, as a result of these projects, what new vision or new insights have you gained into your Christian faith? And anyone can respond.
I would respond with what I seemed to have concluded with the information on trauma. I would say there's something that it reminded me of having a relationship with especially the people we serve. And it is through this relationship that we are able to realize what God is calling us. God is calling us to relate with each human person and respecting each person's dignity. And I can only relate with someone, as I had said, relationship shapes who we are. So it will change my motive, it will change my attitude and my relationship with the people we find ourselves with. So I would say this course has enabled me to create that attitude of welcoming or inclusivity, if I may say, to be able to consider each person's need. I think which changes me as a Christian, apart from being religious, the aspect of sharing in God's love. I think God's love calls us to respond and respect each person's dignity and to receive every person that comes to us. So it brought a new aspect of the different ways which we can touch someone's heart by the different ministries we've shared. Someone shared in the chat that we are from different congregations, but we seem to be doing the same thing. We are inspired by the same spirit that called us to religious life. And I think this is what we are all called to. We are all drawn to the aspect of the love of God. And if we have the love of God, we'll be able to partner with others and we'll be able to relate with others. Thank you.
I would like to share from my last slide. It's a quote from Massawe SJ about my own experience in life since childhood up to now, and then understanding the socio-cultural context to the people that I am serving. This gives me to have a theological reflection that is through the scriptures that help me to go to have the ministry or to listen to the voice of God, the ministry that God is inviting me to do. So those 4 steps, they have helped me a lot in the study. And I would say that through those reflections, it has been wonderful for me. Thank you.
So I was saying that I realized that I need to listen to their needs, and through prayer and reflection, then I came up with a mentor sheet. So this mentorship, they just write what is it that they would like, lessons and subject which they would like to be given assistance to. So for me, I find it has really taught me to really have a reflection in everything, and everything that I need to think more about, I come back to it through prayer, and somehow I get a way through. So it has been very helpful to me.
Thank you, Sister Lucy. I think we will ask, I have 3 more questions here that I would like to ask before we finish. Sister Charity has asked a question about financial challenges. So many of you shared limited finances and resources as an obstacle for your ministries. Can you share any wisdom? There may be some listening today who have a similar challenge with their work. What are some creative ways your ministries have found to continue to thrive and serve young people despite limited resources? And any can respond.
Hello, Sarah. I would like to say something about St. Teresa. I think also Sister Charity was also directing a question to me. You know, like when you want to help, when you want to do something good, the belief is that the Spirit of God will always be there to guide, to help those who are planning to do it, to implement. And this is how it started. Because now for these young Massawe women, in the beginning, we got some friends that were, you know, ready to support. And after we explained sometimes they came, they visited these girls and so on. But you know, they cannot continue to support this forever. So what the sisters are doing is that there are some few small projects that are there. Sometimes also they can support one person, not many, but at least one at a time. And sometimes also the sisters are somehow, they have a way, the school has a way of supporting one or two. And this has always been like that. But also the parents, the sisters are trying to encourage the parents to support their children. Although they might not be able to give the whole amount of money that is needed for the fee, but they can, some of them give even half, and then maybe the rest of the money, sometimes we get it from some friends and so on. So that is how we manage to support some of these girls. We are not very much in a position to give full support, but we are giving them support that has really helped them. And we believe that these are the girls that are going to work and help the society, their own society. And they are going to bring changes. They are going to transform their own societies. So when sometimes we also believe that some of these people, the girls, when they are employed, they will be able to support their colleagues. So that's what we are planning. You know, we can still also encourage them to support their colleagues and so on. That's how we have been trying to support them. Thank you.
Yes, sister.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would like just to add on what Lucy has shared, that something I've mentioned on my slide, that resources is not only money. That's something that we discussed with our partner ministry. And in one way or the other, we can share spaces. Those people whom we have the same, we share the common mission and vision, we can share wisdom. You can invite them to come and do workshop. You can share spaces, you can share equipment, and other things that you can share with them. And you can find that resources is not only money. Others, they can bring items. Some, they can, not only money. That's what I came to realize, that once I do many of the workshops, that some people, they are able to give wisdom or their knowledge. Others, they are able to give us the space provided. Others, they are able to share some of the equipment that we use together. And that, in one way or the other, we are able to accomplish the goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Okay, I would like to ask a question. This is another from Dr. Tom Ryan, the director of LIM. I realize we have heard in these presentations so many of the challenges of culture. There are some ways that culture can be damaging to human dignity. But Dr. Ryan is calling us to remember also some of the gifts and strengths. He asks you all, as a result of this project, Have you gained any new insights into your local culture or the culture of your country and the gifts those cultures have to offer you and your ministries? So what are some of the gifts, some of the strengths of culture that you find are enriching human dignity and your efforts for integral human development? And any can respond.
Yes, Sarah, if I may respond to that, and especially working here in South Africa, there's one cultural way which I found very enriching. And people in South Africa, they are so rich in culture, and particularly singing, singing, drumming, and that is one way in which the recreation for the children, it's one way of even the way they can heal themselves. And they can also heal others. They bring a lot of joy, even to us, even as sisters. And so they have something, as much as we go and give them these mental services and spiritual services, they also enrich us when we have feast, they dance and they recreate with us and they enter in sport. It's really very beautiful. So in that way, I can say in this way, I find culture, I really admire it here in South Africa and how the children participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Next, Maureen.
Okay, I would say that in my partner ministry, it is one of those that is greatly affected by the cultures. We've tried to involve them in some planning and implementation where we engage them to foster good and trusting relationship. And we also encourage them to be flag bearers to ensure safe and secure spaces. So we do this by helping them understand some of the child protection and safeguarding policies. Okay, there is also a language barrier when you are dealing especially with the community. So we try to involve also the administrative staff, like the chiefs, the elders, that assist us in creating this awareness. So I would say what we've tried to do, we don't do away with their culture automatically. You try to create the awareness first and help them to understand. So that one has been of great help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also shared earlier that we appreciate the Maasai has a beautiful culture. When they dress, they are really beautiful, and everybody is looking for their kind of dress. And most of the time, especially in our congregation, when you have feast, the girls will participate fully, they entertain, they can dance, they sing beautifully. But also, we value their culture, and that's why the congregation try to look for one of the girls from their culture who succeeded in the education to go around and teach them, talk to them in their language. And it's their own language that they understand, and they feel they own the training, because they say, this is our fellow, this is our own woman from this village, and she's telling us the real thing, and we believe. So through language, through singing, through the way of dressing, and also they're very respectful when you meet them. They are just, they can keep their, especially for women, really, because they are the ones who stay with women, with the children most of the time. So they have that kind of solidarity and ensure that their family can move ahead.
Thank you very much. Let's ask one final question. So it's clear to anyone who has listened here that your work is having a powerful impact on the ministry, on yourselves and your ministries that you have partnered with. But Dr. Ryan is challenging us to think of impact beyond the ministry. So what difference can this project, can your Loyola studies make for your congregation more broadly, or beyond you, beyond your ministry? What difference does this project make, or do you hope it could make in the future?
Working with Marian Hill International Novitiate, for me, it is a beautiful ministry in which I'm able to engage the sisters to be from the grassroots. And that's why I involve them also in the mentor classes. I involve them in these spiritual exercises with the children, with the hope that wherever they go, it's an international novitiate. They go to Zimbabwe, they go to Congo, they go to Tanzania, to Uganda, to Kenya, to wherever they'll go, they'll be able to share this. And we take seriously the Catholic social teachings, and they also take part in this project, which I'm also doing. So in this way, I see it going beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted also to say that my partner ministry, I believe that what has been happening is going to extend not only with the young girls or young women I've talked about, but I see that the ministry is going to expand in such a way that the boys will also be brought in, so that that kind of formation that is given to young people, it will help them to bring a lot of changes in their lives and in their families. Because what we see happening in the society today, it is because that kind of formation, there is that kind of formation, holistic formation, is somehow lacking. And so if we want to form families, and we want to form the families, Christian families, that will really witness the gospel, then we need to involve the boys. And I can foresee that happening, that we are going to involve the boys. And for me, this is going to bring a lot of changes in the lives of the young people, in the lives of people in the family, and also it will bring changes in the Christian communities. Thank you so much.
Also for me, what I see coming, because of the challenge of unemployment, and we are still encouraging the parents to take these children to school, these girls, when I say, the congregation in the future may be advised to think about creating or initiating a polytechnic kind of education, so that the girls can learn practical skills, so that when they are coming from there, from the vocation centers, they can go direct to the field and create jobs instead of waiting to be employed. Like they can be taught how to do business, small business, because it's not familiar in their area. They can also be trained other activities like agriculture, which has already started, because previously they were mainly based on pastoralism, which is also dangerous, because when it is overgrazing, when they overgraze, there's a danger of climate damaging kind of. So this kind of practical skills is coming to the girls.
Thank you. Maureen?
I wanted to say with the knowledge I've been able to get about the Catholic social teachings and the importance of them. I would say the project or the course will enable me to put this into practice. I think with the survey we did in the congregation, from the congregation, it made me also to know where we are as a congregation and where to begin from the analysis. So it was a good way of doing a research. So I would say it was like an eye-opener for me to be able to know where to begin from. Is it on the care for the human dignity or the other themes? So I would say that enabled me to know where we are. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I hope that our presenters have had time to read through the chat because we have some very encouraging messages. People are sharing their gratitude for this rich discussion, for your ministries and for your contributions. Our time is finished, so I invite everyone to join us next week at the same time for our second session about Catholic social teaching for congregational transformation. Another group of 5 sisters will present about their experiences of leading a congregational examine process, the one that Sister Maureen just mentioned, to empower their communities to discern how to integrate charism, mission, and CST's commitment to integral human development. They will share wisdom they have gained about how to help their congregations more vibrantly live out their charism and the gospel. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. Thank you to our fantastic presenters. You have taken much time to reflect, to prepare to share what you have learned with us. I find your leadership for human development and for trauma-informed care to be inspiring. I also must express gratitude for the congregations of our presenters and for their partner ministries that have been so engaged in these projects. You all have done so much to support these students and to enable their success. I may forget some, but looking at the participant list, I noted the names of some who have supported these students. Sister Felicia, Goretta, Miriam, Rosemary, and I know there's many more unnamed, so many sisters supporting our students. So thank you all so much. As we finish, my prayer is that God may bless all of us in our efforts to shape a safer, more generous, and more loving world for young people. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Sarah and the Loyola University for the great opportunity.
You are most welcome. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Your leadership.